Hello and welcome back to Tyrion Cuthbert, Attorney of the Arcane. My name is Mimi Dennis, and last time we went through day 2 of the investigation where we kind of found out a little bit more about some of the witnesses, mainly Arya Stillwind, Orym, and a new character, or not really new, we saw her for a little bit, but I think it was called Miriam Frege, and her design kind of reminds me of like white-haired, blue-themed Arena from Food Wars. And her attitude was kind of similar, in at least like the beginning area, where she was just really stuck up and really haughty and kind of annoying. But we found out a little bit more about, well, Miriam Frege and some things about the case, such as the lockers, the weapon, and some more spells. But we're about to head into the trial, so I'm looking forward to the trial because those are my favorite parts of the game. All right, what you got? Blah, 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 blah. Oh, we didn't have like the outside of the court like discussion thing that we often have when we start one of the cases. Court is now resumed for the trial of Wallace Nightgrave. Let us review the proceedings from yesterday. It was revealed that the traces of necromancy may have not been left by the defendant. It may have been left by a witness who used necromancy in an attempt to heal the victim. However, the victim was seen by the witness well after her time of death. This could be only explained by the defendant using necromancy to animate this. Wait, did she say after or before? The victim was seen by the witnesses well after. Yeah. This could be explained by the defendant using necromancy to animate the victim's body. This leaves the question: where did the murder take place? Does the prosecution have an answer for this? Based on the testimonies of several witnesses, it's very likely that the murder took place in the library. Interesting. What led you to this conclusion? We were in the library the entire time. You're telling me that they killed her and moved her body while we were all there. Oh. What led to this conclusion, Miss Steelwind? First, I'd like to remind the court where the victim was sighted before the body was found. It began when the victim had a meeting with the headmaster near the center of the building. Our meeting was scheduled for 12 p.m. According to my schedule for that day, our meeting lasted for an hour. This brings us to the statement of the next witness, a student at the academy. The student saw the victim walking the hallways. I saw her coming out of the headmaster's office. She was heading towards the library. Which means that our first witness saw Bellwether leave the headmaster's office. Presumably, this would have happened after her meeting there. That would time this encounter at around 1 p.m. She was also very vague about it. She was like, in the morning? The other event is the discovery of the body, which was when Valentina Iannis contacted security. I suddenly spotted the... Oh wait, this is Valerie this time. I suddenly spotted the professor lying in a pool of blood in the classroom. Valentina used a communication device to call for help while I tried to save her. As we already established, this event occurred at 3:04 p.m. But the significance of this time is what occurred before the body was discovered. The second witness, a member of the cleaning staff, spotted the victim in the West Wing hallway. Bellwether knocked— oh my god, I've read this so many times. Bellwether knocked over a vase, and there were shards and dirt everywhere. It was probably about like 20 or 30 minutes before the twins found the body. This means that the encounter must have happened no later than 2:30 p.m. And this implies that the victim was near the library between 1 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. According to the defendant's statements, he was in the library during this time period. Furthermore, the time of death was 2:07 p.m. This means that Mr. Hughes saw the victim's animated body. Steelwind seduction. Okay, this is just everything that she said, to be honest. The prosecution's theories lays out the following timeline for Catherine Bellwether's movements on the day of the murder. 12 to 1, Theodore Redmond had a meeting. 1 o'clock, Miriam Frege saw Bellwether walking the hallways. 1 to 2, Bellwether spent time in the library. Wait a second, we didn't see her come back though. Yeah, what time did we meet Bellwether? I was pretty sure that was on her way to the meeting, right? So we met her like before this, but we never saw her in the library. I guess the library is big and, you know, maybe, you know, she didn't have to be there, but I'm just saying. 2 to 2:30, Wallace nerd Bellwether. 2:30, John witnessed Bellwether walking towards the lecture hall 2B. 3 o'clock, the Iannis sisters discovered the Bellwether's body. I see. Your deduction certainly tracks, Miss Steelwind. What do you have to say in your defense, Mr. Cuthbert? The prosecution's argument is definitely well thought out, Your Honor. However, it is entirely predicated on the testimonies of all the witnesses involved. Seowin's deduction has to have a hole somewhere. And since your conversation yesterday, you have a feeling that Miriam is hiding something. If you want to get the truth, you'll need to drag that out of her through a cross-examination. Your Honor, to test the validities of these claims, the defense would like to have both these witnesses to testify. The defense calls Miriam Frege to the stand. She's like, God damn it. I'm waiting for an objection. Frege? At the mention of her name, the judge's face turns a bit pale. I had a feeling it would come to this. Do you have any objections, Miss Steelwind? I do not, Your Honor. Very well. Bailiff, please escort Lady Frege to the stand. Oh, I knew she was going to be pissed. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the... You little snakes. How dare you deceive me? Oh, looks like she found out. I had the opportunity to debrief the witness beforehand. Miss McCoy, for the record, I told you to exercise discretion. I did not mean that you should impersonate a member of my family. Yeah, sorry about that. I gave you all the tea that I imported from the Eastern Kingdoms. I demand that you return it to me. No, you gave them to me. They're legally mine now. I'm not sure what your business with the witness is, Miss McCoy, but I'd ask that you please handle your personal disputes outside of the courtroom. Anyways, Miriam, could you please testify to the court about your encounter with the victim? Very well. I can't give her a good voice. I just don't have enough. I'm just trying to give her something haughty. I was working on a research project in my dorm room when I decided to take a break. I left my room and went on a walk. That's when I saw Professor Bellwether exiting the headmaster's office. She was walking in my direction, so I greeted her and she responded in kind. After that, she headed towards the library. A short time after that, I went back to my room and continued my work. I see. It was only a brief encounter. However brief it was, the witness's testimony verifies two things. One is that Miss Frege saw the professor exiting the headmaster's office. The other is that she witnessed the victim head towards the library. This gives us a rough timeline of where the victim was before her death. That does sound consistent. Did Bellwether really enter the library that day? You feel like you would have seen her if she did. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Alright, let's go. I actually don't know where it is this time, so I'm just going to press her a lot. So she was working on her research project. Was this research project part of your schoolwork? It was an independent study to develop a new conjuration spell formula. This project is being sponsored by the Crown Prince himself. Oh wait, is that Aster? Is that why she's like, it's my boy? I wasn't aware that he was involved in such a study. Of course he wouldn't. Did you expect to know every aspect of his life, dear Arya? You sense a bit of aggression. If you don't keep an eye on him, House Frege just might steal him from you. Yep. Okay, so Arya's fiance is the Crown Prince. As if His Highness would align himself with your rapacious family. Rapacious? I don't know. Our banking houses form the economic infrastructure of our kingdom. But perhaps he'll come to the Steelwinds if he needs to clear a debt of goblins. Oh, someone kill her! With all due respect, may we please focus on the matter at hand? Of course, Your Honor. I left my room, went on a walk, and saw Bellwether. Are you sure that you saw her exit the headmaster's office? Yes, I remember it clearly. I was surprised that she was still meeting with the headmaster after all. Oh. Oh yeah, she was gonna take over her job, right? She must be talking about how they're gonna plotting to replace him. Did you interact with the professor at all, Miriam? She was walking in my direction. I greeted her. I think this might be it because I greeted her and she responded. Did anything seem off about her? No, but it was a very short encounter. It's not as if we stopped to have a conversation. You said that you greeted her and she responded. What words did she use? Why is that important? She's scared? Nervous? Miss Frege, it's possible that someone used the illusion magic that day. Every detail about the victim's interaction could be important. Well, I bid her good morning, and she said good morning in response. Ah, I guess that doesn't match the time. After that, she headed towards the library. Did you see her enter the library? I didn't, but there's not much else in that direction. From the testimony of Jan Hughes, we know that she later came from the library. Even if she didn't enter the library, she was still in that area for more than an hour. After a short time, I went to my room. How long did you leave your dorm room? Only for a few minutes. I try not to let my breaks go on for too long. And you didn't see the professor again after your first encounter? No, I did not. Her testimony seems pretty straightforward, but she could still be lying. I'm honestly not sure. We'll just have to focus on her statements about how Bellwether acted. So I think it's this, and it's gonna be about maybe the evidence that Bellwether had, or academic dishonesty. Let's try it.
Objection!
Nope. Your Honor, it's clear that blah blah blah, I'm gonna get my HP bar blown up. Oh wait! Oh, we don't get penalized for that at all. I thought that was maybe a first case thing. Okay, let's look through. Oh wow, I never actually looked at the map now I think about it. So Headmaster's office is right here. The library is here. So there are just lecture halls, closet storage, kitchen, and lecture halls this way. So the Headmaster's office here. That means she was going this direction. So, I mean, there's literally everything else in this direction. I mean, I guess you wouldn't... I mean, you could use the lecture hall as like a study area, or maybe to have other sessions. She could be going to the kitchen or the storage closet. There's a whole bunch here. So just confirming, she died at 2:01 p.m. Maybe it's this. She used her position to curry favor with noble houses, so she wouldn't just say the same thing. Maybe she'd suck up more. I have no...
Objection!
I actually don't know. Nope. Actually, maybe it's just what I just said. She was heading towards the library, but the map shows a lot of places.
Objection!
Nope. Oh no, I'm actually kind of stuck on this one. Well. Oh, of course, I already mentioned this. She said good morning, and she wouldn't say good morning, kind. It's freaking like 1 p.m. And this is why we need this thing, because it shows the time.
Objection!
Oh my god, I feel so dumb because I mentioned it when I was thinking it, but then I changed my line of logic. Ugh. Miss Frege, if I recall correctly, you have a habit of getting absorbed in your work. So much so that you'll even lose track of the time of day. Yes, but what does that have to do with my testimony? Earlier in today's proceedings, the prosecution has made the following argument. Our first witness saw Bellwether leave the meeting with the headmaster. That would be the time of this encounter, around 1 p.m. Miss Frege, if you had said good morning to the professor, you would have been mistaken. Because that encounter could have only happened during the afternoon. And your point is... You said it yourself, Mr. Cuthbert. The witness simply lost track of time. What the witness said isn't the important part here. The significance is in what the professor said in response. She had just come out of the meeting that was scheduled for noon. She'd be well aware that it was no longer morning. So why would she respond, good morning? Wouldn't she have corrected the witness? Their encounter was extremely short, and the victim's mind may have been preoccupied. She could have easily responded to the witness without thinking. I'm gonna be honest, I kind of agree with her. It's not so hard to believe that they were both confused about the time. It's definitely a stretch, but you still can't shake the feeling that she's hiding something. Every time you ask her about how Bellwether acted that day, the eye picks something up. There has to be something there. Miss Frege, you haven't been entirely truthful in your testimony, have you? That's absurd. What reason would I have to lie? It's such a small detail. Why does he even care? Every detail about how she acted is important, Miss Frege. What aren't you telling us? Mr. Cuthbert, you have no basis to accuse the witness of perjury. Yes, and you will stop this at once. Miss Frege, you're lying about how Bellwether responded to your greeting, aren't you? It doesn't make a difference. All she did was yell at me. All she did was yell. Miss Frege, is it possible that Bellwether's response was less than friendly? What do you care? What difference does it make? Why is he being so persistent? My job is to make sure every part of your testimony is truthful. Every detail matters, no matter how seemingly insignificant. Mr. Cuthbert, you will stop this or I'll find you in contempt. The professor yelled at you, didn't she, Miss Frege? So what if she did? I mean... I'm sorry, but there's no going back on what you just said. We got him. I'm just kidding. So, you do admit that she yelled at you. Ah, you impertinent little... Yes, I admit it. The professor didn't greet me back that day. Oh, good morning, Professor. Oh, be quiet. Oh, whoa. So that's the thing that was said to John. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we had been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. But that's it. Everything else I said was the truth. To believe me, right? I did see her come out of the headmaster's office and walk towards the library. That part is true. Huh! So she wasn't lying about that. So, is that all, Mr. Cuthbert? What do you mean, is that all? You badgered this witness, also you could prove what exactly? The witness committed perjury. The witness changed a small detail of her testimony. A detail that is inconsequential to the case. It was clearly an act with no malicious intent. After seeing her thoughts, it's hard to disagree with that. You were so sure that the eye would lead you somewhere, but Frege was only lying to save face. The witness saw the victim leave the headmaster's office and head towards the library. Do you have any concrete evidence to refute that, Mr. Cuthbert? No, I suppose I don't. Wait, is this really okay? At this rate, this will be the only chance you have to cross-examine her. I don't think she's lying anymore. And I was really pushing my luck earlier. If I continue pressing her, the judge might actually charge me with contempt. But if Miriam isn't the one that's lying, then... The defense has no further questions for the witness, Miss Steelwind. Huh. The prosecutor stays silent for a while. She has questions. She almost looks disappointed. Oh, very well. Miriam, you're dismissed. That be quiet, though, is important because that is the exact same thing that she said to John. So maybe at that point she was already an automaton or a construct, and that was just the response that she was giving everyone. So maybe the instructions was to go to like the library and then go back to the room. Actually, wait, I need to see something. I want to look at my evidence, specifically the map. Where is 2B? So 2B is all the way... Okay, it's all the way here. Alright, so the headmaster office... It could be heading towards the library, or it could just be... I think it could have been an automaton, and the headmaster changed the voice settings to say be quiet, so that pretty much anyone that approaches it will just will stop talking to her. Mira looks like she's fuming, but she leaves the room without protest. I think that might be the end of her, to be honest, at least for this case. Something gives me a feeling that she might actually come back in the future because she's a noble. Or like an important noble that's not going to be found guilty in this case, because I'm like very certain it's the headmaster. The judge breathes a sigh of relief as the young noble is escorted out of the room. Now with that out of the way, what else do you have, Mr. Cuthbert? The only way to refute the prosecution's theory is to cast doubt on one of the witnesses. If it wasn't Miriam, then... Steelwind, to test your theory, we must question every witness who saw the victim that day. So with that said, the defense would like to call John Hughes to the stand. I hope you understand, Mr. Cuthbert. Cuthbert. Your entire case rests on the assumption that one of the witnesses' accounts is incorrect. If your cross-examination of Mr. Hughes leads nowhere, then I hope you're ready to concede. You don't like the sound of it, but she's right. Unless you can find something in Jan's testimony, you won't really have anything to disprove her theory. Bailiff, please bring Mr. Hughes. Witness, please state your name and occupation for the courtroom. Hey, wait, no one else had to do that. Witness, name and occupation. Right. My name is John Hughes. I'm on cleaning staff at the academy. Mr. Hughes, please testify to the court about your encounter with the professor that day. Sure. Testimony. I saw the professor when I was cleaning the West Wing hallways. It was about 20 or 30 minutes before the body was discovered. She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. I heard that she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. After that, she went into the empty classroom. Well, that was straightforward. Come on, Jan, what are we supposed to do with that? I don't know. You guys are the lawyers. I'm just telling you what I saw. Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Well, I saw the professor 20 to 30 minutes before the body was discovered. How are you so sure that was 30 minutes before? I always check the time to make sure I'm on schedule. I was supposed to finish cleaning the halls by 3 p.m. Right, the body was discovered at 3:04 p.m. What was the professor like, Mr. Hughes? She walked by me, but she looked pretty out of it. Did anything else look off about her? I mean, yeah, she wasn't undead after all. That remains to be proven. If you say so. Anyways, what was her demeanor like? She looked like she was in a bad mood. Either that, or she was tired. But I guess she was just dead inside, literally. I heard she was undead when this happened. Pretty creepy if you ask me. I believe you've forgotten a few details about what the professor did. Yeah? Oh, sorry, it's hard to remember those things sometimes. Which details should you ask him for? Did she do anything to you? Did she make any sounds? I'll do anything to you. Did she interact with you at all? Oh, yeah. I didn't notice her at first, and I accidentally got in her way. She shoved me aside and kept walking forward. This detail could be extremely important. Please add it to your testimony, Mr. Hughes. Whatever you say, man. After that, she just went to the... wait, what? Okay, this part. Which was pretty creepy because she just pushed me out of the way. Let's do this too. After that, she went to the empty classroom. Do you see anyone else enter that classroom? I'm honestly not sure. I wasn't paying much attention to her. I did think that it was weird that she went in there. With that funky smell, I can't think of anyone who would go there willingly. Right, the headmaster's mistake put a rancid smell in that room. He's not giving us a lot to work with. He tends to leave out details unless we ask him directly about it. I just need to ask him the right questions. Maybe we can pull out more information. Is this the right statement? So she pushed me out of her way. I don't think this is the right statement. I might have to get something else. So did she touch anything? Did she touch anything? Oh, yeah. She knocked over a vase and shattered it. It might have been an accident, but she's done stuff like that on purpose before. This detail could be extremely important. Please add to your testimony. Whatever you say, man. She's creepy because she knocked over a vase. So it's probably gonna be this because she bumped into something, but if it was illusion, this physically something, I don't know. Though I am curious about the last statement. Let's see if it might be any more useful. Did you hear her make any sounds? Oh, yeah. After she knocked over the vase, she yelled at me to be quiet. But I didn't even say anything. That detail could be extremely important. Okay, yeah. So out of the 3 statements, I do think it's the bump into something. And then, well, whoops. I think it's the bump into something, and then we have to present the spell. Or, wait. Why did this vanish? It should be checked off. Oh, whatever. Did she touch anything? Okay, knocked over a vase, and then we'll present Jan's statement because here we have the thing about an illusion.
Objection!
No! Your Honor, blah, blah, blah. Nah! Alright, I haven't read this in a while, so duration 1 hour. The disguise moves with the target for the duration. Size may be 1 feet larger or smaller. Elements hidden by the spell are made invisible, and you cannot make physical contact with this. Oh!
Objection!
Oh! So I guess this is a bug because I clicked this again, but it's not checked off. But after doing this one, it was, you know, that was just not checked off, period. That's kind of weird. Oh, wait, this makes it so that you can't teleport through them. So this might actually make it so that this makes it. Oh, sorry. This makes it so that Miriam Frege can probably not do the crime. So if she ever gets brought up, maybe that'll be a counter argument. Oh wait, animate corpse. It cannot speak. Ah, I forgot. I looked at the wrong spell. There we go. That one I was pretty sure of. Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think it was she yelled at me to be quiet. Wait, what? I thought it was weird. I didn't even say anything. But I know better than to talk back to her. That's the thing, Mr. Hughes. The prosecution's theory is as such. The professor was murdered in the library and was reanimated using animate corpse. With a quick illusion spell, no one would notice that she was dead. Actually, can the illusion make it so that they can talk? Or was that only major something? Actually, let's see. So, this was the illusion. Blah, 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 blah. There is nothing about auditory components, so... Oh no, are purely visual, so they can't talk. Okay. We have major illusion, which shows that at this point, this is also purely visual. Huh. Alright, never mind then. But I think what I think it is that maybe she wasn't in a construct when they were transporting the body or something. And like, because it looks like an empty suit of armor, so maybe she was in it. And then, or maybe she was even, the empty suit of armor was actually carrying her, but it was disguised with a disguise spell. With the quick illusion spell, no one noticed that she was undead. However, if what you saw was truly the undead Bellwether, how did she speak to you? Huh? This doesn't make any sense. Mr. Hughes, undead can follow simple orders, but they don't have the intelligence to speak. I completely forgot about that. Oh my god. Perhaps the witness was mistaken. No, I'm sure I heard her yell at me. I remember because what she said didn't make any sense. Exactly, he didn't say anything, but she yelled at him to be quiet. Wait a minute. I'm afraid I don't understand. We've already established that the victim was dead long before her encounter with Mr. Hughes. But if what she saw wasn't an undead, what was it? It had to be an undead. What other explanation is there? It couldn't have been a major illusion. Otherwise, it wouldn't have been able to shove John out of the way or knock over the vase. Whatever it was, someone probably used illusory disguise to make it look like Bellwether. But does that mean it was a person? No, if it was a person, how did Bellwether's body end up in the lecture hall? Bellwether wouldn't have been able to turn herself invisible if she was dead. And whatever Jan saw, it needs to be something that could have transported Bellwether's body unseen. It would also have needed to have a mass and ability to speak. Well created Bellwether's voice, or at the very least, it needs to be something that can recreate Bellwether's voice. What could have possibly done that? Bada bing, bada boom. That's it! Do you have an answer for us, Mr. Cuthbert? What did the witness actually see? Your Honor, the witness didn't actually hear the dead victim speaking. What he actually heard was her voice being recreated using magic. Are you trying to say that her voice was recreated using a spell? That is exactly what I just said. Yes! Not a spell, a steel wind. It was an artificary. Okay, fine, that's what you mean. And whoever the murderer is, they had the perfect piece of artificary available to them. One program with Catherine Bellwether's voice. Oh, they're gonna. Oh, this is how they're going to implicate Miriam. You can't possibly mean. That's right, Steelwind. What Mr. Hughes saw was an arcane construct. An arcane construct? Think of it as a magically animated suit of armor, Your Honor. But we ruled out such a possibility, hadn't we? Construct or not, no one could disguise themselves and carry the body to the classroom. A person wouldn't have been able to do it. But an arcane construct are a different thing entirely. Those suits of armor are extremely large. More importantly, they're hollow. I see. That means that theoretically, someone could have placed the victim's body inside it. The arcane construct wouldn't just transport the body. With an illusory disguise, it would also confuse and mislead anyone who saw it. Alright, okay.
Objection!
The thing is, so like, right now the conundrum I'm having is, do I be sus of Miriam or be sus of Redmond? Because, like, right now, they both have the capacity to do it. Redmond being someone who can change, the things, the construct's voices. I don't even know if Be Quiet is one of them, currently. And Miriam currently, like, literally has a construct in her room. I do think I'm still leaning towards Theodore, but we'll see with more evidence. I commend your deduction, Mr. Cuthbert. I would have never considered that possibility. I considered it a while ago. It's certainly plausible, but what does this prove exactly? It proves that the body wasn't animated using necromancy. My client isn't the murderer. The defendant is still capable of performing all the acts that you described. His compendium contains illusory disguise, after all. There are several students in the library that day. Any of them could have committed the murder. One might come to that conclusion if they didn't have one crucial piece of evidence. I'd like to present a new piece of evidence to the court. Why didn't you share this earlier? From under her table, you see Miss Sealwind pull out the bloody rapier. Blood? Is that? Yes, Your Honor. This is the murder weapon. I feel like you should have presented that much earlier. And she's gonna say it was in his locker. She was saving that for the most perfect moment, wasn't she? This rapier was reported stolen by Miriam Frege weeks before the murder. And during the investigation, it was finally found in the defendant's locker. Wait! He was clearly trying to use one of her possessions in a paltry attempt to frame her. Why, he even stole her locker's nameplate and placed it over his. Huh! Damn it, that's not what happened. But honestly, it sounds more plausible than what really took place. We're basically back to square one, aren't we? Anyone could have told that construct to do all those things. Wait, anyone? Is that really true? The construct transported the professor's body, and someone used an illusion to make it look like her. They even used a pre-recorded voice to make the illusion more convincing. Who ordered the construct to hide the body? Could anyone have done that? I mean, I think it's probably this, right? No, that's not right. Constructs are available to the students, but not all their functions are enabled. Okay, same idea, but different approach. Several memories flood back to you. Mr. Hughes, you said that Bellwether yelled at you. What were her exact words? I think she yelled at me to be quiet. She yelled at me to be quiet. But until then, we had always been nothing but courteous with each other. I don't know what got into her that day, but something put her in a foul mood. Wait, I forgot. I know that Eris told us that there are limitations to the constructs, depending on your authority with it. But I forgot what they were. Damn it. But yeah, it's headmaster. There we go. We're gonna go back here. Be quiet. Sorry. Be quiet. Eris begins giggling. She seems amused by what is happening. The construct's voice is just a series of pre-recorded messages. I'm not sure if you've noticed, but it uses the voice of Professor Bellwether. Unfortunately, you can't make them say anything other than what's recorded. Only the headmaster can change those settings. Did she make this evil face back then too? I don't remember this. I thought she first showed it today. No, it can't be him. What is it, Tyrion? Did you figure something out? I did. But is he seriously the one behind all this? Miss Steelwind, earlier you said that my client could have orchestrated this entire ruse. But that's simply not true. How so? Anyone could have ordered the construct to carry out the victim's body. Yes, but not everyone can change what the constructs are able to say. Only one individual has the credentials for that. Theodore Redmond, headmaster of the Imperial Academy. Wait, you're not serious, are you? You think the headmaster did all this? I don't want to believe it. But he's the only person who could have done it. That's completely ridiculous. Headmaster Redmond would never do something like this. Miss Steelwind, there's only one common element between each of the witnesses' encounter with Miss Bellwether. I keep saying Miss. It's what Bellwether said to them. Ugh! She yelled at both of them to be quiet. Miriam Frege was particularly surprised. She had a good relationship with the professor, but when greeted by the professor, Bellwether just shouted at her, almost as if the professor was responding indiscriminately. and recall her encounter with John Hughes. The professor knocked over a vase and shouted at him to be quiet immediately after. Even though he had... Oh, the function was if you bump into something, say be quiet. Okay. Even though he hadn't said anything. She was responding to the sound of the vase breaking. Oh, and not bumping into it, but hearing a loud noise. Now let me ask you this, Steelwind. Where did Bellwether come from before she encountered Miss Frege and Mr. Hughes? Her meeting with the headmaster. Bah. It appears that the defense truly means to indict Theodore Redmond. If so, we have no choice but to take a brief recess until he can be brought to you. Alright. There's no need. I've already seen this coming. Fortunately for you, I'm already in the gallery. The headmaster stood up from the gallery seats behind you and slowly walked up onto the witness stand. Has he been here the entire time? Now, please correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Cuthbert, but do you think I am the one who committed this crime? I'm sorry, Redmond, but no matter how I look at it, everything I've found points to you. No, there's no need to apologize. In fact, I should commend you on the length that you're going to defend our dear Wallace. The court appreciates your understanding, Mr. Redmond. He's actually angry. Now then, to clear the air, I suppose I should give my testimony on what happened that day. So, I'm not even 99% sure. I'm 100% sure this is the dude. I'm kind of wondering what his motive would be other than, I guess clearly the motive is, you know, Bellwether being a terrible person and trying to get him fired. I wonder if that's enough. But, I need to think. One thing I'm kind of curious about is how this might relate back to Emily, or Wallace's, the friend who passed away from disease. But I guess we'll find out a little bit later. I was wondering why he decided to frame Wallace, but maybe it's just because he's the easiest one to frame. That day, I had a meeting scheduled with the professor at noon. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. Our meeting went on for an hour, after which she prepared for her next class. Despite our many disagreements, we still knew how to be civil with one another. After all, I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. Oh, we already know that the reason for that. I just can't see it. He seemed like such a nice person. Is he really the person we're looking for? He has to be. No one else could have orchestrated this entire plot. You just need to find out how and why. So it's gonna be the last statement, and it's the thing about replacing constructs and replacing staff with constructs and replacing him with her. That day I had a meeting. What was this meeting for? Oh, nothing of the note. We were merely discussing her daily operations and duties within the academy. In an academy such as ours, it is beneficial to regularly communicate with the staff. She showed up at the expected time, and we discussed various administrative matters. So she showed up at exactly 12 p.m.? More or less. Catherine Bellwether has many things, but she was never tardy, or was many things, not... Oh yeah. There aren't any witnesses who saw her before the meeting. You don't have a way to disprove what he's saying. It'd be best to look elsewhere in his testimony. How long did this meeting last, Headmaster? Okay, it went on for an hour. So that means the professor left your office at 1 p.m.? Yes, she was quite adamant about taking time to prepare her lesson plans. Now that you think about it, Frege had no idea what the time was when she saw Bellwether. If the headmaster is lying about when the meeting ended, there'd be no way to verify this, which would account for the hour gap that Steelwind mentioned. Damn it, did the headmaster really do this? We had disagreements, but we knew how to be civil. After hearing so much about her, I find that a little hard to believe. I can see why you'd say that. But despite everything, I was still her superior. She always remained professional when speaking with me. Is that really true, though? I had no reason to bear a personal grudge against her. Really, even after the way she acted towards the students and faculty? Make no mistake, I heard many complaints regarding her actions. And I've many conversations with her to try to correct her behavior. But at the end of the day, she was a remarkable professor, regardless of her lack of people skills. His testimony pretty much matches what we know so far. I'm not entirely sure if he's lying or not, but at the very least, we know that he was involved with the professor's murder. But why? If you can figure out his motive, you might be able to find out how to reveal him to the court. Alright, it is with the grudge, and we are going to prevent Bellwether's plan, which is here.
Objection!
Redmond, do you really hold no animosity towards Professor Bellwether? Of course not. I did have strong opinions about her method of teaching, but I always remained professional. We both did. Frankly, I find that hard to believe. In fact, I think you might have had a very good reason to murder the professor, considering that she was going to take your job. What? So, you knew about that? I'm sorry, but I don't follow. Just how was the professor going to take the headmaster's job? According to Miriam Frago, Catherine Bellwether was currying favor with the noble families. In fact, there was a plan to oust Mr. Redmond and appoint Bellwether as the new headmaster of the academy. What? But in any case, I doubt that the headmaster had any idea about this until now. I'd like to remind the court of the witness's reaction just now. Oh yeah, he said, "Oh, so you knew about that?" His reaction was one of surprise. But he wasn't surprised about this information. He was surprised that I knew this information. That's... Please, dear Arya. I may be a frail old man, but I am perfectly capable of defending myself. Oh, he opens his eyes. Yes. If you have an explanation, Mr. Redmond, then by all means, I'd love to hear it. Gladly. He finally opens his eyes, damn. It is true that I knew about Frega's plot beforehand, but I had only just learned about it. On the day of the murder, the professor told me about her plan. She was going to replace me as headmaster and replace the staff with her arcane constructs. Now you might say that this would have given me the perfect motive to murder the professor. However, the supposed murder weapon was stolen from Miss Frega. This happened 3 weeks before the murder and my discovery of the professor's treachery. I had no knowledge of their plan before she told me, and therefore I wouldn't have known to steal Miss Frega's weapon in an attempt to frame her. Are you satisfied now, Mr. Cuthbert? There's no way that the headmaster could have come up with this plan. If he really did do this, that means that he stole the rapier too, right? Most likely. His alibi makes sense. He couldn't have planned this whole thing unless he knew about Bellwether's plan, which was leaked like 3 weeks ago. That would mean that he knew about this weeks ago. Like 3 weeks ago. But how did he even find out? The best way is to tell a convincing lie is to leave a lot of truth and only change one detail. Maybe Bellwether did tell him, but she actually told him weeks ago. The question is, how do you prove that? Mr. Cuthbert, you may begin your cross-examination. Let's go! It's true that I knew about the plot, but I just learned about it. So you only learned about it recently. Doesn't that seem a bit too convenient for you? It may appear that way, yes, but... The day of the murder told me about her plan. That must have infuriated you. Your colleagues betrayed you and attempted to steal your job. I'm only human. Of course I was taken aback. I have been the headmaster of the Imperial Academy for decades. To think that the professor and the board would just go around my back like that. Now you might say that would give me the perfect motive. With the professor dead, you won't have to worry about losing your job. At least not for a while. I suppose you're correct, but there are others who benefit too. The faculty staff is now aware of Fregus' plot. With her plot delayed, they won't need to worry about abruptly losing their jobs either. What happens if you prove that Redmond is the killer? He'll lose his job and House Frega will just appoint someone else. No, you can't think about this now. If you don't prove Redmond's guilt, the court will convict Wallace. However, murder weapon stolen. As a headmaster, you probably have the tools available to get her into her room. Yes, I will admit that. The academy has a master key that can be used to enter each of the students' dorms. And yes, as headmaster, I would have access to that key. Then you had the perfect way to get into her room and steal the rapier undetected. I suppose I did. However, there's one flaw with your logic. I'm trying to slowly give him a deeper voice because he's clearly going to be more menacing. I had no knowledge of their plan beforehand. It was my understanding that Fregas want to keep this a secret until the very end. Why would Bellwether, of all people, tell you about her betrayal? I imagine she wanted to taunt me with that information. We've long had our disagreements, and looked back, she may have resented me for that. At this point, there wasn't anything I could do to stop her. Really? I thought that you and the professor were on good terms. I thought that too, but I suppose it was all a facade. She was just biding her time until she could take my position as headmaster. He had to have known about Bellwether's betrayal weeks ago. Right, the question is, how do we prove it? Do we have something that proves that he knew about it before the day of the murder? Alright, bop. Alright, I wouldn't have known. Blah blah. What was the plan? I think it was this one. It was supposed to be a secret, but according to Jan, Bellwether revealed the plan during a meeting a few weeks ago.
Objection!
What? Okay, never mind. Maybe it was, I'm pretty sure it's that, but maybe it's a different one. There we go. This happened weeks before the murder. Either way, I'm sure it's this.
Objection!
Whoops! I hope it's like I had the right idea.
Objection!
Alright, right idea, wrong statement. I feel like it could have worked with like any one of those statements. I'm just saying. Redmond, you keep saying that you didn't know about Bellwether's plot before yesterday. Do you still plan on standing behind that claim? Of course I am, because it's the truth. I'm sorry, Redmond, but you should really close your doors during your meetings. What? Did someone else see? Oh my god. Oh, he's shaking. It is true that the Bellwether revealed her plan to you during one of your meetings. In fact, Jan Hughes happened to overhear the same meeting, but he only overheard the part where the staff would be replaced. Oh man. And that's the strangest part, Redmond. According to Mr. Hughes, this meeting occurred weeks ago. You can't accuse the headmaster of perjury based on a rumor. Everything you just said is based on second-hand information. Mr. Hughes distinctly overheard the staff would be replaced with arcane constructs. That is too specific and too accurate to assume that he misheard a different conversation. The professor probably only revealed her plan for the arcane constructs. That still doesn't prove that he knew about her treachery beforehand. Professor Bellwether had no authority over the cleaning staff's employment. It wouldn't make sense for her to just reveal her plan for the arcane constructs. That would only make sense if he knew that Bellwether would be taking his job. So tell me one thing, Redmond. Why did you find the need to lie about this? Is it because you saw a need to protect yourself from my accusations? Redmond, I asked you a question. Did you murder Catherine Bellwether? Oh my god. What a fine mess this is. I'm not done. Not yet. Headmaster? So, you truly plan on pushing this, aren't you? Well, your thesis sounded promising, Mr. Cuthbert. But I believe your argument could use a little work. 1v1 me, bro! Argument. You think I killed Catherine Bellwether? Me! I am an elderly man in his 80s. I was alone and had nothing to overpower Bellwether with. I could barely walk, much less wield a rapier. I mean, you had the constructs, right? But you and Bellwether weren't the only people in that room, were you? You needed arcane constructs to carry Bellwether's body. That means that the construct would have already been in your office. And with your privileges, you could have easily programmed the construct to stab Bellwether for you. Even so, think about what would have transpired afterwards. Recall Miss Steelwood's timeline of Bellwether's witnesses. With their theory, the construct would have spent more than an hour in the library. Having it there would have risked my so-called ruse from being discovered. Luckily, Lady Frege can't tell night from day. I wouldn't have the construct linger around in the library. Luckily, Lady Frege can't tell night from day. Use this claim against the So right now he's angry and scared. But I'm not sure why. I want to try that. Nope! Redmond, what you're saying clearly doesn't match what you're thinking. What kind of weak assertion is that? Oh my god, look at him now! How could possibly know... Wait, what? How could possibly know what I'm thinking? How could you possibly know? Okay, you need to choose your words more carefully. No one else knows about the Eye of Horus. Intuition? The timing deduced from Miss Frega's testimony is predicated on one thing. You saw Miss Bellwether exit your office after your meeting. However, if we assume that you are lying about when this meeting ended, your entire argument falls apart. Miss Frega would have encountered Bellwether after her death at 2:01 p.m. Ah, I see. Miss Frega wouldn't have made a mistake like that. Miss Frega thought it was morning when she saw Bellwether, but she can't reliably tell the time. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I didn't catch that. But okay, so what they're saying is that the meeting went on until 2, or much later, when because Bellwether died. Maybe their argument got heated up and he stabbed her in a fury. But the only established thing we have for Miriam is that she saw them leave, so that's why we thought it was 1 o'clock, because that's what we thought. Then what about where the rapier was placed? If I was really the murderer, then that would have mean I planted the weapon in young Wallace's locker. Several students had lockers that they had access to. I wouldn't even... Okay, I get it. I wouldn't have placed incriminating evidence in that locker. Wallace was one of my prize students. If I had to frame anyone, he would be the last person I choose. But, you know, we have evidence of the locker switch. So he was trying to frame Miriam because they also colluded to essentially get him fired. Oh, there we go. Evidence in the locker. You're right, Mr. Redmond. He wouldn't have tried to frame Wallace. He would have tried to frame Miriam Frega. It would have been the perfect act of revenge, wouldn't it? You murdered your treacherous co-worker and framed the daughter of the family that helped her. But something went wrong, didn't it, Redmond? The labels on Wallace's locker and Miriam's locker were switched. Anyone who saw that would have easily mixed them up. I am the headmaster of the Imperial Academy. I have records of all the students' lockers and where they're located. There's no reason I would have made a mistake like that. If I truly planned this, I would have known where Wallace's locker was. A simple change in labels wouldn't have led me to make a careless mistake like that. I'm just kind of curious, have you used every piece of evidence so far? We didn't use this, but that's going to be for later for why he chose that classroom. We didn't use the lockdown system, but that's probably going to be used to overturn the teleportation. We didn't use this either. Or academic dishonesty. We'll keep going. What was the thing? No reason that I would never make a mistake like that. Oh, what's this? A construct in the locker room. But it wasn't you, was it? Your arcane construct was the one who planted the rapier in the closet. I bet you commanded it to place this rapier in the locker of Miriam Frega, but saw the ID number on Wallace's locker and assumed that it was Miriam's. Redmond begins desperately stammering, looking for something to say. Oh, that's why the thing is there. It's because it could, maybe it could do the next action. I don't know. Miss Steelwind, say something. What? Mr. Cuthbert, your theory may be plausible, but there's no evidence to support it. Huh. Yeah, that's right. You don't have any proof, do you? There's no evidence of my orders. Saying that I could have committed the murder isn't the same as proving that I did it. And this is probably where this is gonna go, because afterwards it literally just stopped and didn't do anything. Never mind. No, that's not right. Wasn't there some sort of evidence that would track the orders given to him? What? Does that not track the orders given to them? So it's command log. We don't have the command log, do we? Oh, okay. Never mind. I had the right idea, but I didn't choose the right one. I chose the sequence of events and like the original construct thing, but it was actually just a construct in the locker room again. Your arcane construct is still in the locker room where it planted the rapier. All we have to do is take a look inside and we'll see blood inside. Oh, is that so, Mr. Cuthbert? What? Why does he still look so confident? No, Mr. Cuthbert. I already checked inside that construct during my investigation. The interior was completely clean. What? The construct's primary function is to assist and clean, dear Tyrion. They have a function that allows them to clean themselves inside and out. Well, we can still look at the command history, right? Think about it, Mr. Cuthbert. Do you honestly think that the murderer would leave behind evidence like that? I'm sure whoever orchestrated this plot, they ordered the constructs to wipe its logs when it was finished. No! That's right, Mr. Cuthbert. Your case against me is theoretical at best. But I suppose I can still give you marks for trying. Damn it, he thought of everything. Was he seriously able to get rid of all the evidence? You're running out of options, but you still have one tool left. Wait, what? That was kind of weird, but no. Ha! It's unbecoming to glare like that, young Tyrion. He's doing it again. Bring yourself back to the moment with Garrick Pierce. Think about what was at stake for Wallace, just like you did with Celeste. His life and his future are in your hands.
Naught can remain concealed.
Well, activate Empowered Eye. You activated the Empower Eye again. Redmond did a good job of covering his tracks, but there has to be something that he forgot to get rid of. Evidence of academic dishonesty. I did everything I could to cast doubt on Frega's brat. I can't believe Valerie placed a trace of necromancy on the body. To make matters worse, the construct placed the evidence in the wrong locker. So you did send the construct to the locker room to plant evidence. He must have also fabricated the documents that accused Frege of cheating. It was also make her look like the murderer. But this doesn't give you anything new to work with. I'm kinda curious. I can't believe I put myself into this mess with Bellwether of all people. Why do I feel remorse for her? She deserved what happened to her. I'm kinda curious. I wanna see this. Why am I thinking of this now? Okay. This is all the nobility's fault. This whole time they were planning to throw me out. It's their fault that the Bellwether is dead, not mine. Her blood is on the hands of the Fregas and the Steelwinds. Oh, Steelwinds? I'm curious. Okay, it's the same thing. So he's blaming the Steelwinds as well. The construct's orders were clear. Plant the body in Lecture Hall 2B. Oh, this is probably it. Then plant the evidence in Frega's locker. It was supposed to head towards the storage room afterwards. What happened? Interesting. The construct wasn't supposed to be in the locker room. So it was supposed to go to the storage room, but something caused it to stop. So it's this thing. But what caused it to stop going to the storage room? Originally, I thought that maybe the evidence was planted first, and then the body was brought to the, the classroom. But I guess, hearing his thoughts now, we know it was not in that case. So, headmaster, it went here. So, where's the locker room? I actually have no idea. My illusion should have been flawless. Oh, I presented John's statement. I can't believe this boy was able to deduce what happened. So he used illusion, but... I had to do everything I could to shift the guilt away from myself. But did I leave any holes in my alibi? No, I accounted for everything. There's no way I left any evidence behind. I like the fact that some of these are, similar. So, this and this led to the same thing. Okay, so I actually presented all of the clues, so it's gotta be a speller profile. In that case, I kinda wonder what they think about the girls. I wasn't just thinking about myself. The staff, Bellwether would have thrown them onto the streets if not for what I did. What about Eris? Oh, my head. The stress from this trial is giving me a migraine. That's strange. Why can't you make him think about Eris? Well, you suppose it doesn't really matter. Okay. Oh man, he doesn't think anything about Wallace. That kind of makes me sad. Oh god! I just presented myself. I can't believe I let this boy push me so far. I was too careless. I should have been much more wary of him. Whoa! Okay, it gave me a cling, but I guess it didn't give me anything else. Oh, what about... He has a connection with Ruby. It's all Timora's fault that I'm even here. If it weren't for my depths, that boy would have never even met Wallace. Ah, so yeah, she She owed her something. Oh, whoops. I presented the construct in the library. Why was a construct in the locker room, though? It shouldn't have been there if it followed my orders. No matter, I wiped the logs. They have nothing on me. So you did order the wipe of logs. In order to cover all of his traps, I would have probably done this at least. Okay. I thought I presented that, huh? Maybe I missed it. Wait, he ordered the constructs to go to the storage room? It would have done that after it was finished planting evidence in the locker room. But we found it in the locker room. What stopped the construct from leaving the locker room? I mean, is it this? No, that's later. Oh. Was him ordering the shutdown what caused the thing to stay in the room? Oh my god, he reported it too early. No. If you play Among Us enough, you should know you shouldn't report it prematurely. Right, the body was probably reported earlier than Redmond expected. This means he probably started the lockdown before the construct was finished in the locker room. How did the lockdown affect the construct's actions? What, does this change anything? So the Wallace's series of commands was interrupted by the lockdown. What? The lockdown prevented in the locker room would have, so was that not it? Oh, frick. It wasn't Wallace. I got his name wrong. It's Redmond. Whoops. Right, the series of commands would have been interrupted. Wait a minute. Constructs execute a series of commands in order that they're given. But let's say that one of those tasks is impossible to complete. When the constructs gets to the task, it'll deem the entire series impossible to complete. As a result, it'll stop executing the series altogether. So if a task in a series of commands is impossible, then the command will interrupt the entire series? The construct's final command was to wipe its memory. But if the orders were interrupted by the lockdown, then... Miss Steelwind, I have nothing more to ask of this witness. What? You're not giving up, are you? Do you even have to ask? Yeah, I thought so. But how are you gonna prove that he did it if he's not testifying? Don't worry, the next witness' testimony will be all I need. Next witness? The look on your face isn't one of defeat. Just what are you planning? Haha, it's nothing but desperate bravado. Now, if you'll excuse me. You've let your quarry get away, Mr. Cuthbert. I hope you know what you're doing. I do, Miss Steelwind. First, I'd like for the Inquisition to bring me the Arcane construct in the Academy's locker room. We've already established the murder could have wiped its history. Please, just humor me for a second, Miss Steelwind. Very well. Bailiff, please relay Mr. Cuthbert's request to Commander White. Well, here's a construct. I hope you know what you're doing, Mr. Cuthbert. Construct. What are your orders? Please recite your command history. Reporting. Command 1. Stand by in Headmaster's office. Command 2. Await vocal signal. Attack from Theodore Redmond. You hear Redmond stand up from the gallery. Seeing this, the prosecutor watches him and carefully clutches the handle of her cane. Command 3. Treat Catherine Bellwether as hostile entity and neutralize. No! Construct. Wipe your... Hold! Hold. It's not hold. Hold. Is it hold person? Before he can finish his sentence, the prosecutor points her cane at the headmaster. Magical energy shoots from it and collides directly with him. The magic wreaths around his body and stops him from moving. He's clearly trying to struggle against it, but it looks like he can't even move his mouth. Miss Steelwind! Excuse the interruption. Please continue. Command 4. Await vocal signal. Leave from Theodore Redmond. Command 5. Move to classroom 2B. Reply to any queries from voice line number 3. Command... I know this is supposed to be Bellwether's voice, but I forgot her voice, and it is a construct. Command 6. Remove Catherine Bellwether from interior frame and place on floor. Thank you, construct. You can stop now. I think we all know the rest. But just to be clear, who gave you the series of commands? Commands were provided by Headmaster Theodore Redmond. How? I ordered the construct to wipe its command history. You didn't erase your internet history, you're going to jail. Mr. Redmond, constructs don't follow the same logic that humans do. They're prone to error when their commands are impossible to execute. Impossible? In what way were my commands impossible? You were the one that made it impossible. You activated the lockdown system. The lockdown? The body was found earlier than you'd like. You had no choice but to immediately activate the lockdown system when it was reported. However, the construct was still in the locker room when you did this. So, that's why it was there. The construct finished its task in the locker room, but then it tried to follow your next command. It tried to move to the storage room, but it was prevented from doing so. Completion of that command was impossible, so your series of commands was stopped before it wiped its history. You little... Theodore Redman, you ordered your construct to murder Catherine Bellwether. Then you had placed the murder weapon in a locker to frame Miriam Frege. We have your construct testimony to prove it. And that's checkmate. I can't believe it. How could you do something like this, Headmaster? She was going to take everything away from me. My position, my academy, my students. Everything would be gone. It'd be stolen by her and the Fregas. Why didn't you say anything to me? I could've... Don't you dare stand there and act ignorant, Lady Steelwind. Do you think the Fregas acted alone? Your father was a part of this plot too. What? I have nothing to say to you. I thought you were different. I listened to your lies about societal reform. In the end, you were just like the rest of the aristocracy. Ugh. By the Scaled Lord, what have I done? I was even willing to sacrifice poor Wallace. I can't believe Why did I listen to this? Eris planted this idea in her mind. It was why did it didn't say Eris, but you know, it changed from why did I listen to why did I do this? It appears that we have a full confession. Oh, I forgot the judge was here. The court sees no reason to prolong this any further. Bailiff, please escort the witness to a holding cell. Mr. Cuthbert, you really did it. It feels amazing, right? Like a big weight has been lifted from your shoulders. It does, but I can't believe the headmaster was the one who did this. Right, despite everything Redmond did, he was the one that allowed Wallace to pursue his dreams. I'm sorry, but I'm sure this is bittersweet for you. What am I gonna do now? Headmaster Redmond was the only reason I could even attend the academy. With him gone. Come on, don't think like that. You got acquitted. I'm sure it'll all work out. You want to agree, but necromancy is basically taboo. Without Redmond's support, there aren't many places he could learn it legitimately. Then there's the Imperial Academy. Hey, don't you get all sad on me too? Sorry, I was just thinking. With Redmond gone, the Fragos will probably appoint another sycophant. I've never heard of that word. As a headmaster. Valentina, Valerie, John. They're all gonna lose their jobs. Come on, you found the truth and you put the murder behind bars. You saved Wallace. She's right. As you start to exit the courtroom, you're greeted by Miss Timora. Was she in the gallery this entire time? At the end of the day, you saved Wallace from a wrongful conviction. You should be proud of yourself for that. I suppose you're right. Maybe I am just overthinking things. But the doubt still lingers in your mind. Now, come on. I'm taking Wallace to that restaurant we went to last time. Do you remember how much that place costs? Don't worry, I have plenty of gold. Why are you paying for it? Am I the only one in this team not making any gold? Why don't you meet us there, Celeste? I need to talk to Tyrion for a moment. Alright. Let's go, Wallace. Okay. You activated the Empowered Eye again, didn't you? She doesn't appear to be praising you. I did? I didn't really have a choice. The Eye of Horus is a powerful tool, Tyrion. But that's twice now that you've used the Empowered Eye to get out of a tough spot. You can't keep relying on it if you want to grow as an attorney. One day, you'll find a witness that the Empowered Eye won't work on, like a certain reality-bending heiress. It's worked for me this far, though. But I suppose you're right. I'll try to rely on it less next time. And that marked the end of another case in my career as a defense attorney. Another life saved, and another murderer brought to justice. We're gonna see something about Eris, aren't we? I still couldn't shake the feeling of uneasiness. Was it guilt for what happened to the faculty staff? Or was it something else? Creepy music. Oh, we didn't! Episode end. Oh, there's still more. Man, Steelwind has been talking with the perp for hours. Oh no. Oh no. Is Redmond gonna die? Is she... Oh no. Eris is gonna come in and shank him like a lot of dramas usually have like, oh, the prisoner could share too much information, we gotta get rid of him. What's there to even ask at this point? Turns out that she doesn't trust his testimony. Something about his memories not matching up with the crime scene. You don't think he has mage blight, does he? No, it's not that. So yeah, I'm convinced that Eris is causing all of this, like all the other crimes that Orem and Steelwind were investigating. Ugh, she just found that damn symbol etched onto his desk. Oh, what do you call it? The purple mask? Oh, for the love of... Not this again. Look, if the little lady wants to chase this boogeyman, just let her. At least this time, she's doing it personally instead of dragging us into it. Cast... Sleep. Oh, hi! What's up with... Who did this to your desk? What has gotten into you? I've already admitted to everything. What more could you possibly want from me? Oh, whoops. I clicked the wrong button. Where did this graffiti come from? What is this symbol? What is the purple mask? I don't know. A student must have done it at some point. Think very hard, Headmaster. When did you receive this purple symbol? Focus on the moment you received this. Wait a minute. I remember it now. But how? Lady Steelwind. Lady Steelwind. Oh, Arya, what happened? Are you okay? Whew, that was close. My elation over meeting him almost made me forget. Eris, what are you doing here? Why? Wait, I remember now. It was you. You put those ideas into my mind. You're the one who told me to murder Miss Bellwether. Oh, you humans never fail to amuse me. I didn't make you do anything. Everything you did that day, all the planning, all the preparation, that came from your own mind. And I have to say, I was quite entertained with the scheme that you came up with. Oh, why you even broke into Miriam's room? I didn't know you had it in you, old man. You made me forget about our conversation. But how? Illusions can't affect the mind. Magic can't affect the mind. It's a shame, though. I would have much rather turned Wallace into the antagonist of this chapter. Oh, could you imagine if he turned? It would have been spectacular. Armies of the undead, running rampant in the streets. But alas, even I couldn't corrupt his pure soul. And to me, who are you? What are you? Who am I? I'm the Lord of the Sixth Circle. Ah! And back to menu music. Yeah, so I didn't call everything, so I didn't really know that. I mean, I should have figured out that Miriam and her lack of awareness for the time of day was gonna come into play. I thought that was just the good morning thing, but no, it actually came into play more. It actually changed a lot. It changed the time of death from 1 p.m. or it changed not the time of death, but the time that a lot of testimonies could have been put into action. So it changed when she left the office from 1 to 2, which narrowed the time a lot, and also essentially made it so that the body was found a lot earlier than expected, and that caused him to activate the systems. I'm kind of surprised that the teleport thing didn't come into more, stuff. I was kind of surprised because a lot of the evidence I had wasn't actually used, and I actually said this like earlier in case 1. I kind of like that because it gives you more options and makes it more difficult, because usually you're like, oh man, I haven't used this evidence yet and it's going to be used eventually, so I'll present it, and that usually makes it process of elimination makes it a lot easier. With this, you're like, I don't know if this is actually useful and I may or may not use this, so I have to think twice before using it. And I really like that. About the case overall, I'm kind of sad that we didn't get a conclusion for Wallace. It was just like, okay, I'm free. What do I do now? I don't know, figure it out. And like his motivations and the thing with Emily, I feel like could have been expanded on more. I did read a small post. I didn't look at any spoilers, but you know, this is an indie game, and it seems like they were a little bit tight on a budget for some of the writing stuff. So I don't really blame them too much because a lot of the actual courtroom stuff was pretty solid. So I'm enjoying the game so far. I did really like the stuff with Eris and like her reality bending stuff, but I'm always caught off guard. I have to pay like 110% attention to like whatever stuff happens. And oh man, I really like the part where she was like, "Oh, you tried that again, didn't you?" And I was like, "Oh my god." That was pretty cool. Overall I enjoyed the case. I kind of feel like honestly, I think Miriam's probably gonna show up again. I feel like she didn't play too big of a role here, and as a noble, she's gonna show up again because she's one of the 4 big noble houses or whatever. But overall, it was a solid case, but a little bit predictable. I mean, in the first like 10 minutes of the case, I called out that Bellwether was gonna be a victim, and after getting the construct, I think I made a mental note that the headmaster was the only one that could change the construct settings. And after understanding how versatile the constructs were, I was like, oh yeah, that's definitely how they did it. So a lot of the things I was able to piece together, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think overall I'm gonna say it's a good thing because like a lot of like, I'm not gonna say I'm super smart or anything, but it just means that a lot of the evidence you were really able to piece together given the things that you have. So yeah, I ended up really liking that. So yeah, the next case is going to be the origins of Horus. So we'll actually finally find out a little bit more. Oh, so in case 4, this chick looks like Miriam, so this is probably a Freyga. I don't know who this dude is. I feel like his design looks kind of different from a lot of people. But yeah, in that case, if she's here, Miriam is gonna show up again for sure. I hope she's not as much of a bitch. But case 3, Origins of Horus, we'll tackle that next time. Until then, I will be seeing you. See ya!